About a week ago, I finished my build of the Longshot DLG, and I'm new to DLG. I just wanted to share some of the kind of little details that I came up with. So starting at the back, as you can see, I did the pull line and spring return instead of a push-pull. In the instructions, they have it set up for push-pull, a conventional tube and wire. And at first I thought, let me do it kind of by the book. And then as I started to kind of check out the servo throws and stuff, I saw some hysteresis, and I didn't really like it. So I ended up switching over to a pull spring system. And so in here, you can kind of see the spring. It's 20 mil music wire, and I believe this is like 2 inches long here. So that's pretty easy to do. You just push the music wire into the foam. I put a little epoxy on the music wire so it doesn't slip out. And over here, to reinforce, I put a little fiberglass with CA. Over here they recommend a Kevlar kind of thread through here as kind of a safety belt, I guess. I didn't really like that idea, so I just took a little strip of fiberglass and wrapped it all the way around. This way, put CA on it, and it looks pretty good. It seems pretty secure. Again, the spring and the elevator. The pull lines. The pull lines over here are 9 mil music wire, and the way I attach over here is just kind of feeding it through, bending it around on a little loop. So it'd be pretty hard to pull that out under the servo power. I think it's pretty secure. I followed the instructions on attaching the vertical stabilizer to the boom. That was pretty easy to do. Connecting the boom to the pod, that's something you definitely want to wait till the very end. In fact, generally when you're following the instructions, you really want to do things in the right sequence, because you can get pretty messed up if you go out of order. So be careful about that. And it also wasn't totally clear, the instructions of how to attach. I wasn't sure if I should epoxy the fuselage and then kind of slide on the boom, or put CA on first, or what. So I pushed it on strong. I made everything straight and perpendicular, and then I kind of hoped that the CA would flow into the joint. And I don't know for sure if it did, but that's the way I did it. And then, according to the instructions, they say to put some epoxy around the joint, and I did that. And so far, no problems. So onto the top of the wing. Again, I followed the instructions with these patches. There's a steel screw in the front and a nylon screw in the back. And I'm cutting out these little patches. It's a lot easier with one of these, the roller type cutters. So I'd recommend that you get one of those as opposed to scissors, although you can do it with scissors. It just makes it a lot easier. So looking at the underside of the wing, I followed their advice on the servos. I forget the model number, but it's in the instructions, I believe. They fit really nice. The connecting rod, all I did was use 1/32 inch music wire, and did a little 90-degree bend and then a 45-degree bend so that it can't slip out, but it makes it so that you can kind of detach things without too much effort. One little deviation that I did from the instructions, I actually glued the halves of the wing together before I put in the wires, and I didn't really want to deal with the little hole for the wires feeding that through is kind of cumbersome. So I just cut a little slit into the skin and then press the wire into that channel and then covered it with tape. So aerodynamically it's fine, and I don't believe I'm really losing any kind of mechanical integrity, any significant mechanical integrity, because most of the strength is in the longitudinal direction. These little patches, I pretty much followed the instructions. I didn't do the full span. Same on both sides. And I'm going to look at the throw peg. I pretty much followed the instructions on that. Some people will say that the location is really not optimal. I'm new to it. It felt okay on my first launches, but that's kind of up to your discretion. I've got two kind of low-cost servos here. They're slightly displaced so that the arms don't glide into each other. I attached the pull lines to a number 4 screw. So I drilled out a hole in the horn and just kind of let the screw self-tap into the hole. I'm not totally thrilled with this. I did a little twist, a wire twist here, which I'm going to do another video on to how to make a nice strong twist. You don't need any epoxy or CA to reinforce it. But there's a little hysteresis in the friction between the wire and the screw, which I'm not totally thrilled about. This screw I did upside down so that the wire doesn't hit the other horn. And I've got the servos just screwed in with a wood screw into the balsa. And so then the canopy, I kind of like this trick with, you do this reverse tape trick, and then this just kind of slides on to lock the canopy in place, which is nice. It's kind of clean, looks good. So for the control system, I've got the Frisky X4R, I believe it is. And then I've got the Vario. So this is the receiver, this is the Vario. Got them taped together with electrical tape just to kind of keep it neat. I decided with another plane I went 1S with a circuit that ups the voltage, but after some research and thinking about it, I decided really 2S is probably a better way to go. So I'm using these 350 milliamp hour 2S LiPos, 7.4 volts. And to bring the voltage down to a safe level for the servos, I've got these diodes here. I've got three 1N4001 diodes in series. That drops the voltage down to about 5.5 volts. Got a little, inside there's a little plastic bag of some small screws that I use as counterweight to balance out the plane. I made a little jig. So I made this little jig to balance the plane on. The wing sits on here. This kind of controls the front leading edge of the wing to make sure it's at the right spot. And then it's real easy to see whether you're in balance. I believe it's 70 millimeters from the leading edge. You can check that in the instructions. So another little detail, this Jst connector is one of the aileron servos. It's got the 3 wires, and then for the other one I just ran 1 wire. So it's a total of 4 wires. They're kind of separate. I've got the connectors labeled just so it makes it easy to remember which channel hooks up to what. One other little detail that took me a little while to figure out, I wasn't sure how to get the wires from the aileron servos up to the front here. And so I decided, at first I was thinking like I should have a connector over here so you could kind of plug it in over here. But then I realized that's like another failure point. It adds a couple of grams. So I just ran the wires between the servos, the power leads together, and then a straight run, so there's no connectors all the way up front. And then I made this little wire form. So this little hook hooks into the Jst Connector, and then you kind of feed this through the little hole here and up to the front, and then you can kind of pull it through to get the connector up to the front.